This is How to Live with a Grumpy Gut, a survival guide for those who deal with pain, bloating, eat low FODMAP, and also struggle with the mental health load of living with IBS-like conditions. My previous video on how to feed yourself with invisible disabilities, gut issues, and neurodivergence went down pretty well, so consider this a part 2 with more of a focus on living with and feeding yourself with gut issues. In terms of where I'm coming from, I was diagnosed with SIBO in mid-2020, and since then I've had a few big flare-ups, but I've mostly been able to manage it through lifestyle adjustments. I saw a more holistic functional medicine GP at the time, and certainly the things she prescribed did help, but the suffocatingly strict gut protocol I was put on as part of that treatment makes me seethe to this day. I find it so ironic that the functional medicine holistic space can care so much about gut health, put you on these extreme gut protocols, but then be totally oblivious to the stress they cause you when stress is such a contributor to gut health issues. SIBO diet is like the low FODMAP diet made 10 times more restrictive. It requires you to cut out so much variety from your diet. I've said this in other videos, but it felt like being handed an eating disorder. My mood became really low during that time, and it still baffles me that I was just told to go through with it without being offered or recommended any psychological support. I believe it substantially damaged my relationship to food and cooking, but jumping forward, happy ending, I have got my good relationship to food and cooking back, and I'm now very passionate about framing this topic in a way that is not psychologically damaging, aka causes stress. So here are my hopefully mood boosting tips for living with a grumpy gut. Tip 1 is when you're flaring up or going through any kind of gut protocol, do what you need to do to think about food less. In my experience, when something's up with your gut, your focus on food becomes so much louder. Like you think about everything you can't eat, what the heck you can eat for your next meal, how long your symptoms are going to last. So doing what you can to mitigate that is great for your mental health. That might look like making sure you have a toolbox of low FODMAP pantry staples on hand, like garlic infused olive oil, low FODMAP energy bars, low FODMAP stock powder, so they're just there when you need them, and you also don't develop a relationship to those where you're only using them in kind of a crisis. It might look like prepping a few days worth of meals at a time, just to give like your brain a break from wondering what the heck it's going to eat next. Or it might look like making a go-to list of safe recipes that you can turn to when you need to with just minimal thought. I find that this can help you like bypass the stress stage which symptoms can trigger and just get you straight into action mode. I suggest starting with low FODMAP versions of foods or cuisines you already enjoy, and also suss out any low FODMAP brands that are available to you and see what meals you can make with products that already exist. My go-to list of low FODMAP safe foods is ratatouille, like a food court Singapore noodles made with rice noodles, a miso soba tofu Brussels sprout dish in one of my cookbooks, paella, and tofu rice bowls. What all of these things get at is avoiding you arriving at your next meal being absolutely famished and then expecting your brain in that compromised state to like be able to put something together. Eating is a must, and I think when you're in this vulnerable state, experiencing gut issues, we need to kind of psychologically trick ourselves, get the food in front of us, be eating for we're hangry and spiraling about everything going on. Tip 2 is to lean into distractions that will help you to chill out. Being on the SIBO biphasic diet really stripped me of my biggest interest outlet coping mechanism in life, cooking. We're in the middle of COVID lockdowns, and we'd also just lost our family dog like 6 months prior, so I was without any welcome furry friend distraction. That's all to say that forced me to find other distractions for myself. But yeah, find a non-food related project, maybe a creative project, and a good TV show, just anything that gives you something else to think about and be occupied with, and then treat it like it has a medicinal quality, because being lost in something else and not stressing so much really will make you feel better. Tip 3 is to pay attention to any macro patterns. You're often encouraged to pay attention to how certain foods make you feel when you have gut issues, but I honestly find that just encourages me to pay like too much attention to my body, like too much hypervigilance on my day-to-day eating choices, and therefore cause more stress about my symptoms. So instead, I found noticing any like year-to-year fluctuations much more helpful and worthwhile. And I found without fail, I experienced a flare-up going into autumn and a milder one coming into spring. I don't know what that's about, but noticing that has helped me remind myself that this is temporary. I have come out the other side before. There are things in life that affect how my body feels, that are outside my daily choices, and I have the resources to get through this. Tip 4 is to learn that there are different types of full. I grew up undiagnosed autistic, so I think it's pretty safe to say that my interoception skills were probably crap as a kid. It's only as an adult that I've started to pay attention to what feeling bloated versus feeling full feels like, because to the untrained, unnuanced body inhabitor, those things can feel quite similar. And being able to clock, oh yeah, my stomach's full, appropriately distended and not bloated, or just like an appropriate amount of bloated, because that's also part of the normal human experience, but like stop yourself from spiraling that this is the beginning of a massive flare-up, is a reassuring distinction. Tip 5 is to speak kindly to yourself when you start to stress. I'm not a affirmations person, but I found it extremely helpful and actually necessary to sort of talk back to myself or repeat things to myself when I'm freaking out during a flare-up. When it comes to feeling frustrated about reacting to certain foods more than usual, I like to switch "this food's bad" or "I can't eat this" to "okay, I can't eat this right now," or "I can't eat this yet," or "this food doesn't make me feel great right now." Or my personal favourite, "I haven't figured out a way I can eat this right now," as that can just help remove some of the black and white thinking, catastrophizing that seeps in when symptoms are symptoming. Also reminding myself that things always change is so important. Of course there are exceptions to this, but with the type of gut issues I'm talking about, I think there is always room for hope. Okay, sure, your symptoms might hang around for a long time, but your mood won't stay the same the whole time. You will laugh again, you will experience joy from different things, and you will learn how to help yourself, even if it's in a tiny, tiny way. That one is guaranteed. Before we continue, I just want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is a very special announcement that my upcoming cookbook, I Want Dopamine for Dinner, which comes out in October of this year, is now available for international pre-order. Hooray! It's an accessible cookbook full of vegan and gluten-free and mostly low FODMAP recipes like you haven't seen before. For those who are interested, the link is in the description box below. Now back to the video. Tip number 6 might be a personal fave, and that is to fall in love with stretching. I swear by stretching every day. It's such a loving, non-food act to self that can really bring some immediate relief. I do these stretches every day and have done for like the past 5 years, and I find enormous relief, especially from heart to earth and windshield wipers with your knees going to the right, as that really gets into the left side of your gut, which SIBO is often felt in. When I'm flaring up, it can feel like I've woken up with cement in my gut. And doing these stretches in the morning especially, I also do them at night, but in the morning helps so much with that. My last tip, number 7, is a quickie, but if you're someone who likes to shower in the evening, for the love of all things, shower before dinner, sweetie pea, okay? Just so it's not you and your bloated stomach in the shower. You are still hot as heck and a truly beautiful being, but since we're probably in a more fragile state and more prone to spiraling, I think that's just an easy thing we can do to like set ourselves up for success, yeah? Ultimately, I think it's important to consider rest the best medicine, unless you and your circumstances have medicine that actually works. But it's a fact that stress makes grumpy guts so much grumpier. And so doing what you need to feel loved, feel cared for, and like you can manage life for the time being is so important. Clear your schedule if you can, put the feelers out for a care package, ask for extensions on deadlines. It all really helps. Remember also that food is not bad. It's nuanced, and it's so much more than fermented sugars and starch content. In a healthy relationship to it, it's also love and care and nostalgia. These days, like outside of a flare-up, some foods just still give me like a bloated, sore stomach, but I do still eat them when I want to because it's good for me in other ways, like my psychological well-being, for social connection, for feeding my inner child. And that's not something a medical practitioner will tell you, like maybe a psychologist will, but I found it's like something you end up figuring out on your own, and then you just kind of had to fight for being your truth and what you know is right. Outside of these things, honestly, going to therapy, learning about myself, my neurodivergence, my childhood, how to manage anxiety is what has helped me the most. I would love to hear what else has helped you if you feel like sharing in the comments. I just gently request that we keep the wording and the amount of detail to a degree that it won't be causing stress to other people. The link to international pre-orders of my cookbook, I Want Dopamine for Dinner, will be in the description box, and thank you so much for watching.